Okay, we are live. Hey, good morning, NonFiction Branders and all the people on NonFiction Brandversity's campus. We're going to be talking to the lovely and talented Laura Kaiser, which you can see on the graphic on screen right now. But I'm going to cut over to the two-shot so you can see her in person, and there she is. It's Laura Kaiser. Hey, Laura, how you doing?
Hey, it's early, but I'm here.
Yeah, it is a little early, but this is about the only time that I can get people before they head to work or if they just get to work and are warming up their computer and stuff like that. So we are just going to have a conversation because this is a series of episodes with individuals who are active on the Nonfiction Brandversity free Facebook group. And let's get to know each other a little bit better because there's one thing that you can kind of express via post, but nothing replaces, seriously, nothing replaces face to face when it comes to getting to know someone, who they are, what they do, and kind of the gestalt, the big picture of who they are. So, Laura Kaiser, let me just introduce you by saying that we met, I want to say about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, based on recommendations of a friend type thing. And again, it's that face to face connection that makes things happen. We met, I think we hit it off really quickly, and you invited me to participate on a panel discussion for a event that you run as part of your day job, which is at the Wisconsin Technology Council. Can you give us a little bit of a idea of what the Wisconsin Tech Council is about?
Sure. We're a bipartisan nonprofit 501c, and we were established. I think I want to say it was like in 2001 or 2002 to be the advisory board to the governor and the legislature. So my boss does a lot of things involving policy, testifying in front of legislatures. He has pretty much a direct access to the governor and his staff, whoever the governor may be, and just giving them the feedback and some suggestions as far as anything to do with tech world as well as the entrepreneurial world all throughout Wisconsin. So definitely a membership-based organization where the members have a huge say in how things are kind of driven, which is really kind of cool.
Well, and through our relationship, I've had the ability to interface a little bit with the Wisconsin Tech Council community. And yeah, everything you just said is spot on because it's really about driving the tech sector in the entire state of Wisconsin.
Right.
It has a huge footprint, of course, here in Madison, the capital city of Wisconsin, for obvious reasons. But one of the things you do is you put on a series of events, but a couple of marquee events too. So the one I was on the panel was one of your marquee events, and you've got one coming up, don't you?
We do. We have it's called the Tech Summit. It'll be our sixth annual one. And this year we actually moved up to Lambeau Field. We're kind of excited actually of our three marquee events. One, we're moving up to the Green Bay area so we can kind of get the Fox Valley area and help touch the entrepreneurs and help promote them up there. And then we're actually moving our entrepreneurs conference that's in June. We're moving that over to Milwaukee. And then our early stage symposium will still be at Monona Terrace in Madison. So really kind of neat that in 2019, we have our big, huge three, I like your word, marquee conferences. We have them kind of scattered throughout the whole state.
Well, and that is great because you're kind of your mandate is to serve the entire state. So it's great that you're really getting to the disparate areas. Kind of, Green Bay, Milwaukee, huge manufacturing centers. Madison, a lot of kind of tech from the software side, the biotech side, all that stuff. So it's really great. And if anybody has anybody within their sphere of influence that is in the technology sector, get them hooked up with the Wisconsin Technology Council because it really is a great clearinghouse for information, for connection, and for inspiration, I would say, for growing technology in the state of Wisconsin.
Right. And on top of the marquee conferences that we actually have 24 luncheons throughout the state. So those are like, for example, in Madison, they're held pretty much once a month. I want to say the third Tuesday of the month, but we definitely have all of that on our website. But the really cool thing is that we have events going on all the time that you can check out. We have some that are in the central Wisconsin. We have luncheons in Milwaukee. So if you're interested, they're definitely fantastic for networking. That's a huge thing that the Tech Council is great for. It's all of our events have a lot of networking opportunity to get a lot of those key players all in the same room all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and that's Laura, Wisconsin Tech Council. But there's another side of Laura that really has been taking off in the year that I've known you. It went from 0 to, I don't know, 45 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. And that is engage social media. Now, you've heard us talk about on NonFiction Brandversity the idea of having a side hustle, or what I like to call a soul hustle. It's the thing that fills you up. It's the thing that is truly yours. One of my favorite sayings is, if you don't own it, it's not yours. Well, in this case, engage social media is 100% Laura Kaiser's, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I've actually had a couple people ask if I was expanding anytime soon, and I was like, "Whoa, slow your roll, not yet." So it's really nice. It's kind of I've realized that my niche in social media is really kind of a certain thing I'm really good at, and there's a lot of things in social media and marketing that I don't know, but the things I am good at, it kind of reminded me of back when your mom and dad used to say when you were younger, find something you love to do and then find someone to pay you to do it. I absolutely love being able to do what I am good at in social media and bring it to a certain market that it's a good fit for. And I really kind of like that it's my side hustle because it complements my full-time job, and I'm able to meet with a lot of people that could potentially use my services. So it's really neat that it's one of those, if you think you have a need and I might be able to fill it, let's chat.
Well, let's talk about that thing that you do really well. I'm going to guess it has something to do with actually making connection or networking with other people. Is that right?
A little bit of a networker. I've been known to,
Yeah. Oh my God. I look at you as this spider web maker, where you're this spider that's at the edge, but you've made this huge web, and you're able to go everywhere you need to make connections. You don't kill people, you don't wrap them in silk, and you don't suck the fluids out of them, but you do engage with people and say, "Oh, you should meet so and so," or "Oh, have you talked to this?" or "Hey, come over here." And you're very much a connect. You're a connectrix. That's the female form of connector, I think.
I like it. I like it. Well, and that's part of why I chose the title Engage Social Media. But for me, the best thing I like about social media as a platform is the engagement that you get with other people. And it's not just virtual. It's obviously the in-person connections that you're able to make. One of the connections, for example, that I absolutely value so much is Alex Moe from Wiz Business. He does a really phenomenal podcast. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. But I love the fact that he can reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'm looking for some people to do on a podcast. Do you have any suggestions?" Oh, geez. I always tell him I have like 80 million. So really kind of nice to be able to do that.
Well, and Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, uh, if you haven't read it, it's a great one because there are a number of concepts in there that I think are just universally understood now in business. And if you don't know what people are talking about when they say it, you really should get up to speed on it. But he talks about that there are individuals who are natural connectors. They are the ones who literally, they're kind of like matchmakers because they
Maven.
say again.
The Mavens.
Yeah, the mavens. Yeah, they know what everybody does, and then they add a level of human curation to it as well, saying, "Okay, I know enough about this person, and I know enough about this person that they probably aren't going to get along, so I'm not going to connect those. However, this person will absolutely love this person, so those are the ones I'm going to connect." It's that. I think of it as curation. It's literally, I'm not just saying, "Oh, you should go out to coffee together." It's that you have something they could benefit from, and you have the right style or personality or drive or just people skills to make it work with this specific person's needs. You guys should connect. So there's a value add. This is all my long-winded way of saying you provide a value add in connection. It's not just business card connection. "Hey, you guys should meet." It's more like, "No, you guys should meet." And there's a difference.
Yeah. Yep. And I actually was lucky enough to meet Malcolm Gladwell. I read his book in college and he came and spoke in front of our class. So really kind of neat that apparently maybe this is where this all maybe got even ingrained from. Is is having him speak in front of our class and being able to actually chat with him for a few minutes back.
Well,
Gosh,
what I
90s.
yeah, what I loved about that is that concept. Again, it's the concept of the maven, of the connector, of the that's a job or that's a job possibility, and the answer is yeah, absolutely. It's what talent agents do. It's what producers do, executive producers do, for movies, for feature films, for TV shows, whatever. They aren't in there cutting the film into making the movie, but they're there to make the connection so that you've got the best lighting director, you've got the best camera operator, you've got the best. And to know that's a skill set, and it's a valuable skill set, and one that you are absolutely putting into play for the Wisconsin Tech Council, but undoubtedly you're doing it for Engage social media as well. Can you give us an idea of what you do for people with Engage? Like, let's say I'm a small business owner and I say, hey, I need social media. Can I buy some from you? What would that consist of?
First of all, that's funny, but yeah, I think so. It's really kind of interesting. When I first started off, I had a couple people on the side that recognized that I was good at doing social media for the Tech Council. And they said, hey, can you help me with this, and this? And I need some help with this, or I think I want to do this. Or I have a couple investor friends that said, like, we really know we need to be on social media. We just don't have time to do it. We're not good at that. Maybe you could help me with that. So I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to get a small business started on the side because I love doing that. And I can kind of do more like a consulting basis and maybe take on a couple really small clients in my time. And my first client turned out to be a huge international company that we kicked off this big, huge initiative. So I literally was in on it from the ground floor, from designing the logo and establishing all the platforms, to building a following, to curating all the content. So it really, and that's been, let's see, I want to say that started started ramping up in July. So it's been ongoing, and it's been really, really neat to hear the validation of not only the people that are running the contest, but the people that are participating in the contest saying, yeah, you're doing a great job, and I love that you're doing X, Y, and Z. So that's been kind of neat. And then on the other aspect, I have a chief medical officer who I work with him one-on-one, just kind of on kind of an on-call basis. And we get together pretty much like once a month, once every 2 months. And I help him more effectively use LinkedIn. So it's really kind of neat that it's literally kind of runs the gamut of, if you think you have a need on social media, there's probably people out there that can help you with that. And I absolutely love that I know a lot of people that are in marketing, not going to say who, but that I can turn to. And if I get a client that says, hey, I need to do this, this, and this, and if it's something that's involving like, fancy videos and, maybe things like that, I know people like you that I can refer them to, because I know all the different people in the social media marketing world, and I know their strengths. So it's really nice. And those same people say, hey, if I've got a smaller job and they're just looking to do this and this, can I send them over to you? Absolutely. And that's kind of what I love about networking, is it's a win-win situation. You recognize a lot of other people's strengths around you, and you can help each other.
Well, and I'm going to turn this conversation around to the whole kind of tentpole idea of nonfiction brandversity, which is personal branding and small business branding. You're actively doing both at the same time, because personal branding for Laura Kaiser, that's going on.
Right.
Now you've got small business. You need to get the name and understanding of what Engage social media does out in the field. And I'm going to guess that you don't have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget behind you to do such things. Is that right?
I have a $0 budget.
Yeah. Well, that's like the rest of us, which is how do I get famous without any money? And I'm not going to hire a couple of guys to beat me up. Probably not a good idea. Sorry, Jussie.
And I never, to be fair, I never want to be honest. I'm really not a fan of being the spotlight. And I think for me, that's kind of what I like about social media, is I'm able to help spotlight other people and be able to put everybody else out there.
But that's one of the fundamental elements of effective personal branding, which is shine the spotlight on other people. And guess what? There's reflected light back on you. I've always said, make other people look great, you'll look good. And,
exactly.
And I will attest again firsthand, knowing Laura and what she's personally done for me. She does that. Shortly after us getting to meet each other, you invited me to the entrepreneurs conference and to be on that panel. So you were literally shining the spotlight on me, and not only did that make me feel good, but it also endeared me to you. Consequently, there's I think of them as deposits in the bank of goodwill, and it's not just, hey, we're friends, goodwill. It's, no, I owe you some professional solids as well, in the form of, okay, are there any leads I can give you? And it's, again, I'm not going to just make willy-nilly connections. I'm going to say, I think you could help out this specific person because of
Right.
a match. And, there are a lot of people, you can see them on LinkedIn, and I don't want to be too critical of it. The ones with lion in their profile name, LION, LinkedIn Open Network is what it stands for. And it's basically, hey, if you ask to connect to me, I'll connect to you. And I'm like, seriously? I want a level of curation there. I want to make sure that if you're connected to me, you're a legitimate person. And by being connected,
Right,
you
right.
say that again? I'm sorry, we lost you.
There's a business reason for us connecting. If I get a request from Saudi Arabia and we have two people in common that I don't know very well, and you're in manufacturing, I don't know that there's a strong reason for us to be connected. So yeah, it's you have to. I think you really need to more carefully control your LinkedIn connections so that they're meaningful.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is still true, but LinkedIn, I believe, has a cap at 30,000 connections. It's not like I'm anywhere near 30,000, but I want to keep it under 3,000, to be honest, because I want quality. Part of my personal brand is all related to quality. If I have a bunch of junk connections, that says something about me. And again, there are people who chase numbers, and social media can be a numbers game. How many followers do you have? Or it can be a quality game. What type of quality stuff do you put out there? And I think that's incredibly important, because what you do says more about you than what you say.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. For
So,
example, I think on LinkedIn, it's because it's like a business Facebook. I think that people look to you and they might say, oh, I literally have had people reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, oh, you work for the Technology Council. I've heard about the Tech Council. What exactly do you do? So it's because of who I am and what I represent and the company that I work for that I'm being reached out to. But on the other hand, it also goes the same way. If I am reaching out and I need a connection, let's just say, for example, at BDO, I know tons of people at BDO, but if I want to go through and somebody reached out to me and said, hey, so-and-so at BDO, can you tell me a little bit about them? Or I'm interested in a job there. Can you maybe refer me? Well, if I don't truly have any kind of connection with that person, I would just be sending a cold call as well. Versus if I actually know my connections, it's easier to reach out and say, hey, so-and-so, I know that you do X, Y, and Z over at BDO. How's it going, by the way? This person asked me to introduce you to them. They're interested in working there. Could you chat a little bit more about them? And that's going to be a lot more genuine. And to me, that's really what the core of social media needs to be. It's genuine and authentic.
yeah, and I think there also needs to be an ongoing maintenance of those connections, in the form of, I'm not going to like everything that everybody in my network posts, but if I see something I like, I'm going to not only like it, I'm going to comment on it. And what happens there is that person who may not have thought about me since we connected via LinkedIn, all of a sudden they see my name, they see the comment, they see that I'm saying something nice, affirmative about them, maybe adding to the conversation. And I think of that as like a break in the bridge between us, because a connection on LinkedIn is like a thin, let's keep with the spider metaphor, this thin silk. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, that silk can become this hard bridge that has traffic going back and forth all the time if you build that bridge brick by brick. And those bricks come in the form of comments. So, of course, we've got Dan LaCloche watching. And this guy is really great at taking that spider web of connection and building bricks to build that bridge between people, because he actually comments on stuff you put up there. He likes it. He'll introduce people via LinkedIn or live events all that stuff. He's building this really strong bridge so that down the road, when there's something consequential that I can offer up to the dude, I'm going to do it because he's been doing me solids right and left the entire time.
You know what actually that boils down to, right? Rotoma. Bringing it back to you, Spencer. It's when you're on social media, return to top of mind awareness. It's how, as long as if I stay active on platforms, people are going to keep recognizing my name and they're going to recognize the value that I'm adding to the conversation. And that's the core of your book with Spencer.
And that's absolutely true. And it's also the way that you get on the radar of the people who might be, from your point of view, flying up a little bit higher than you are currently. Like there are people that I would consider top level people in social media, in marketing, whatever. And frankly, I don't fly at their level yet because I'm getting on their radar first. And
Right.
again, this is not me. I heard Kate Toon, who was on the NonFiction Brand podcast recently, she calls it fluffing. Now, fluffing has a connotation related to the American adult film industry that maybe not be appropriate, but it's the idea of I follow your stuff, I say appropriate things, and I get attention over time, and then all of a sudden you're reaching out to me, or when I make the reach out to you, you go, oh yeah, let's connect because we've already created a relationship.
Right.
Dan LaCloche has a hashtag for it. It's called #BridgeStrong. Thank you, Dan. But that's so important because there are a lot of people, like you say, that guy in Saudi Arabia who asks to connect to you undoubtedly because, oh, you're an attractive young lady. There's a little bit too much of that going on LinkedIn, if you ask me. Instead, make the connection because, hey, that's a really good point. I'm in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I am trying to start a technology council. I see that you're doing it. I'm wondering, could I ask you some questions? Boom.
Absolutely.
Would you say no to that?
No.
Absolutely not. Of course not. Because
Involved with it. Right.
I'm sorry, I talked over you. Can you say that again?
There's context around it, which is what's crucial to a connection. If it's not somebody that you know, is you have to give them some context and a reason to reach out.
Hallelujah, sister. It's that combination of content and context. Content without context, or connection, content, context. Oh my God, I'm writing this down. This is a new chapter. And this is the way my brain works, which is I hear that, oh, content, context, content. That's a solid foundational idea. And frankly, that's one of the reasons that people might engage with me, because when I have conversations with them, I'm listening for things that they're saying that they don't realize are nuggets of gold. And my job as a creative is to take those gold flakes, turn it into a nugget, and then take that nugget and turn it into a piece of presentation jewelry that you wear every day and show off because you're so proud of what I would call your brand. Your brand is that piece of presentation jewelry. But yeah, that guy, that fictitious Saudi Arabian tech council guy, you now have a legit connection and could be very valuable, especially when he says, hey, we're doing a conference in 2020 and we'd love to have you come speak. Would you turn down a fully paid trip to Saudi Arabia?
As long as it didn't interfere with my marquee conferences. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Again, everybody, we're talking with Laura Kaiser, who's been a really active member on NonFiction Brandversity and very, very cool. We've got some people in the feed, and Dan, thankfully, I can see your lovely profile pic, but the other people are watching. If you want your profile pic to show up like this when I pull it on screen, all you have to do is authorize at that ecam.live URL that's shown on screen, and that will allow us to show not only your comment, but your lovely smiling face. Because somebody is saying, nice plug for Rotoma. And yeah, if anybody doesn't know, Spencer X. Smith and I wrote a book called Rotoma. Everybody know that? But a lot of the foundational ideas of nonfiction brandversity can be found in that book. So I can't recommend it enough. It's available on Amazon.com. Hey, and by the way, a couple of other things. There is merch for nonfiction brandversity. I think you may, if you've been on in the Facebook group, you can go to Amazon.com, type in nonfiction brandversity, and see merchandise, including dun, 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 pop sockets. Yeah, believe it or not. And the T-shirts are high quality. Bella and Canvas T-shirts. I can't, again, Laura, sorry, I can't attest to the female fit, but for the guys fit, maybe go up a size above what you normally wear unless you're rail thin. Hey, Katie Gaynor. Nice plug.
Hey, Kate.
Yeah, Katie's nice plug for Rotoma. Absolutely.
I was not asked to plug Rotoma. I just want to state that. I was not asked to plug it. It's just it keeps coming up in conversations for a reason.
Yeah. Well, and it's that for those of you who may not have it tattooed on your forehead, Rotoma stands for Return on Top of Mind Awareness, which all credit goes to Spencer X. Smith for coming up and coining the acronym Rotoma. It's the idea that social media gives you a global, always-on, free, underline the word free, platform for retaining a top-of-mind awareness status with all the most important people in your life. All you have to do is post, and boom, you're top of mind. Respond to someone's comment, or top of mind. It's the old salesman's question of what's the best thing for a salesperson to be, and the answer is top of mind. If you're thinking about buying the product, if you're actively buying the product after you've bought the product and are being asked what you think about it or who you would recommend, where do you want to be? Top of mind. So, again,
exactly. Well, it's interesting to me. I want to add. Occasionally, I go to networking events. I haven't had enough time lately, but my son is in New Zealand right now, so it kind of opened up my schedule a little bit for a couple of weeks. So you always got to look on the bright side of things that you don't like happening. Glad he's having a great time, and I know it's beautiful, but it's kind of, I miss my kid. But it's kind of nice. I went to a networking event, an I Love Madison meetup, and somebody that I had never met in person, but we're connected on LinkedIn with a lot of mutual connections, said, I see you on LinkedIn all the time. And I think to myself, am I really posting that much, or is it just that I'm posting the right things at the right time with the right people? Because I really don't feel like I'm personally on it, like, so much that people are like inundated and they're like, wow, get off of LinkedIn. But it's nice to know that what I am contributing to is sticking out in people's head to the point that when they see my name tag at a networking event, they really want to reach up and come talk to me. So that's really kind of cool.
I have said and will say ad nauseum, if you are doing social media right, you will never walk into a cold room again. So I don't know what your experience at that meetup was, but maybe you're going for the first time. And I know Neil Mathweg is the guy behind it. I know Caleb Yar. They're both going to be there. So at least I know two people. So you get over that kind of fear. Say again?
Dan was there.
Of course, Dan LeCloche was there. Fancy Dan, as we've come to know that his wife Malia loves to call him. Fancy Dan LeCloche was there. But you walk in the room, and there are a lot of people. I think there were, from what I heard, 90 people or something showed up.
So it's pretty.
So for an introvert, that can be a daunting number until you start looking around the room and you see a smiling face who walks over to you and says, I see your stuff on LinkedIn all the time. My name is blankety blank.
Right.
All of a sudden, I like to think in metaphors and analogies. So an analogy might be a swimming pool. Remember a swimming pool as a kid? You look at that pool and you're going, God, it might be cold, and I don't know, and then you just dive in and find out, oh, it's perfect. Well,
I'm glad I did it. Right.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You don't go diving into a cold pool anymore when you're doing social media and getting that kind of Rotoma, return on top of mind awareness quotient, high enough, because people you don't know will go, I know you. I've seen your stuff. I liked that comment you made. By the way, you work for Wisconsin Tech Council, right? my boss has been thinking about joining that. Is there any way that we could talk? All of a sudden, you are served up a conversation and you had to
Exactly.
do zero for it because you've already done it via social media.
And it's authentic. It's not like you're walking into a group saying, okay, how many memberships can I sell and how many people can I recruit to do X, Y, and Z? Really, when you go, by the time you go to a networking event, it shouldn't feel like work because it's just, you're just being yourself and having conversations.
Yeah. And that's the key. Whenever the buzzword authenticity is talked about a ton now, and there is no secret sauce that you can buy. You've already
Right.
got it. It's called be yourself. Dare
Exactly.
I say, know who you are so you can be it. And that's the challenge for a lot of people. They have not sat down and done the little bit of work to truly figure out who they are. And I like to point to, and he knows I do this, so this is not me talking behind his back, but Nick Myers, who I think is pretty well known amongst the LinkedIn connected network. You know, he's a young guy. He graduated from Stevens Point, UW Stevens Point, I think in 2016. So he's brand new, and yet he's on my radar. He's on your radar. He's on just about everybody's radar because he goes to these networking events, and he does decent, valuable, relevant content on LinkedIn, especially in his areas of interest and expertise around AI, artificial intelligence, and marketing. How
Yes.
do I know this? Because he's told me, because he's shown me multiple times that that's what he's into. Well, guess what? His personal brand has elevated via literally a handful of valuable videos and posts about AI to the point that this kid, and I'm going to call him a kid because I got enough gray here to warrant that, this kid is speaking at a national conference in Seattle. Oh, and to make it even worse, next year, I think it's next year or later this year, he's going to be talking about AI in Australia.
Hmm.
Son of a. Yeah, that's how it works. When you do it right, you build your profile, you get the attention, and this is a kid, and I want to underscore this is someone who could spend the first 5 years of professional life coming out of college as I don't know anything. I have nothing of value to add. And
Right.
I also want to point out that when he started doing videos, he started copying other people's videos, kind of doing what I call the guru video style. You know, it's follow your bliss, passion, drive, you know, all that kind of bumper sticker inspirational stuff. And to his credit, he recognized that was inauthentic to who he is. And he
Right.
changed. And guess what? That first video that he changed and said, listen, that's not me, but this is, and he started talking about AI, that's the video that put him on the connection path to that speaking gig in Seattle.
Exactly.
It, you know, I just shake my head because the guy's doing it in a wonderful, wonderful way. So let's talk again about engage social media. How can people get involved or get connected with you regarding specifically your side hustle, your soul hustle, engage social media?
So I'm on all the major platforms. Just engage SMM1 is technically the handle, I think, on LinkedIn. No, not LinkedIn. Twitter. But other than that, they can just search for Engage Social Media LLC, and I'm on all the platforms. Otherwise, they can reach out to me by email as well, and there's a link to all that on there too.
Well, and one of the things too is that you've got a for-profit Laura Kaiser, you got nonprofit Laura Kaiser. Wisconsin Tech Council is a 501c3 nonprofit, so you're very interested in that community, and I think there's been some conversation, at least on the periphery, about nonprofit people maybe talking to each other or hi kitty cat. Oh my God, you have a tail. How nice. But if you're a nonprofit brander or a nonprofit personal brander, Laura is a great one to hook up with. Are you open to conversations with people in the nonfiction brandversity space about?
Absolutely.
Well, and
Absolutely.
this is why we're doing these Look Who's on Campus episodes. Now, you know Laura by her face, by her voice, the way she talks, what she talks about, her personality, her demeanor. It should be very easy for you to make reach out via Facebook or LinkedIn to say, "Hey, Laura, I saw you on Look Who's Talking. Um, could we get coffee? Are you up to coffee dates?"
Absolutely. And speaking of which, you and I need to get coffee again one of these days too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the reminder because I don't think I've been quite top of mind enough in your mind lately. So I need to re-cement that. I need to build some more bricks in the bridge between us. Yeah.
There you go.
Does anybody, before we go, have any questions for Laura? If so, there's like a 10-second lag between what I say and what you write. So we'll hold on for just a few more seconds. But I want to let people go and start their days. But any final words from you, Laura, about what you would love to get from Nonfiction Brandversity?
I love the connections. Like you said, it's the authenticity and getting to meet with people and actually seeing them face to face. And if there's people out there that are not considering themselves entrepreneurs, but they still want to work on personal branding, or if there are people who have a really small business and they're really good at their small business and they know they need to be on social media, they just don't really know where to start, or they don't really have the time to get that rolling, that's where I would come in. And I think that's my little niche. I'm not an SEO guru by any means. I mean, I definitely know about it and I use it when I work with the Tech Council and with the WordPress that we have on that website and helping maintain that website. But my big thing is helping people figure out and navigate social media and how to get started and how to build a brand.
Well, and I think that's a really important divide because there are SEO people who are pure technicians who can quote down to nanoseconds on site and why this button color is better than this button color. That's different than what you do. You're on the human side of social media. I think of it as the liberal arts side of social media, not the computer science side of it. And I think that's important for people to know, especially because it's your value proposition. Meaning, if you're a small business who really doesn't know anything about it and has said all their life, I don't do the social media, you're a great person for them to meet with because you aren't going to start out from a level of judgment. It's going to be well, let me figure out how we can work together or what you need. And it's very human oriented. It's more psychology than it is computer science.
Right. And I have a degree in sociology, so that probably plays into it too. I love helping people figure out what they need, because a lot of times people know kind of what they want to do or how they want to come across, but they don't really know what to do to get started. So I really love meeting with people and being able to mesh and make them understand how social media can just expand on what they already want to do, just with a little bit more visible platform on social media.
Yeah, so there you go. Laura Kaiser, a great connect for anybody who's interested in that. Oh, Dan LaCloche does have a good question for you, specifically because you are a producer of marquee events. Dan LaCloche says, I have the social media thing covered, but how can I get invited to speak on more panels? It's a 2019 goal of mine. Any answers to that question?
Yes, I do have an answer. I have an answer for everything, as Dan and I just talked about it. I have an opinion for everything and I have an answer for everything. My thing is to say you have to figure out what, like, for example, for me, our conferences are driven towards entrepreneurs, investors, the kind of the tech community. So figure out, you need to go to I think kind of first, and you really get a handle on the previous sessions that have taken place to figure out where your niche is and how you could provide that value. I have a million people reach out to me by email, just a really cold email with no graphics on it saying, hey, you should hire one of our speakers. He's only $5,000. I have literally zero interest in reading those emails. I don't even know what you're talking about, and I don't know how you'd even fit into our conference. And it shouldn't be about the dollar amount. It should be about, hey, you've got, like, for example, at this last conference, we had Kelly Fitzsimmons, and she's a serial entrepreneur. She was involved with the Tech Council very early on. She was an early board member, and she now owns a custom reality services, and they've produce VR films, and it was just at Sundance. So it was kind of in the news, and she was top of mind. And we kind of started like talking to her, like, we would love to have you talk about not only the things that are going really well, but the things that didn't, and the failures that you had, and how did you end up bouncing back from that, and how do all entrepreneurs, what can they take from your message? And she actually has a really cool book coming out called Lost in Startup Landia. And it's really kind of cool. Like, it's not, she wasn't promoting the book at all. And that wasn't what it was about. It was about telling entrepreneurs, hey, I've been there, I've done that. This is what you need to focus on and what you need to kind of keep the eye on the prize. And you're going to go through failures, but what are you learning from the failures, and how are you becoming stronger from that? So if you want to be a speaker, or you want to be on a panel, find out what that conference is, find out what's been done before, and to find out how you can fit in it. So if somebody just comes to you and says, I want to be a speaker, it's like, okay, well, the answer is probably going to be no. You really have to provide value for the conference planner to be able to see how they can fit that into the conference.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that you've got your kind of sphere of expertise, or what I've heard Leah Rowe call the zone of genius or something like that. And the fact is, you've got this core. I call it the cake. You need to frost that cake so it responds to the needs of a Laura Kaiser, the programmer of that event. For example, if you're talking about human resources tech council, give me a little bit more. How about attracting millennial programmers to high-tech companies and keeping them? Would that be a topic that you might be interested in?
Be a lot more interested than if you just presented me with, I can talk about HR.
Exactly. So again, your cake can be your, I don't want to be too pejorative about it, but your canned content.
Right.
You can still keep that, but you need to package it. You need to frost it in a way that is absolutely directed toward the needs of Laura's audience. Not just Laura, because Laura might think, oh, that's a cool topic. Because I know you to be a quality professional, you're constantly thinking about it from the point of view of your audience.
Exactly. Find out what kind of cake we served before. Find out what other people liked about that cake. And then give me a cake that's going to be complementary to what we've done before and provide a lot of value.
Cake. Now you got me thinking about cake. It is now 42 minutes after the hour, coming up on 43 minutes after the hour. So I think we need to wrap this up. I want to thank Laura again for joining us on Look Who's on Campus. Thank you for your questions and your interaction in the stream. Again, I'd like to remind you, one big thing. Dun, 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 dun. I think you all know I'm doing a workshop March 7th here in Madison, all day, 2 sessions. You can sign up for the morning or the afternoon or the full day. And here's a little thing special for NonFiction Brandversity members. Here's a promo code, NFBV30, NonFiction Brandversity 30, NFBV30. Gets you $30 off the full day price. And frankly, it's not just for NonFiction Brandversity people. If you know anybody who's not a member, encourage them to become a member of the free Facebook group. But if you're not, use that promo code. And we're going to have a good time. So thank you so much, Laura. People can find you on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And do you have a website?
I don't have a website. The company itself grew kind of faster than my ability to come up with a website, because that is not a strength of mine. So if there's anybody out there that wants to help me build a website, that's great. We can do some kind of trade.
But I just want to point out how cool that is. You didn't need what everybody thinks they need to do digital marketing. You need a website to do digital marketing. No, you need quality human connection, which you have in spades. So I think that's a great place to leave this conversation. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. We've got some cool stuff coming up with guests on the NonFiction Brand podcast. And, in fact, I'm going to be talking to Pablo Killian in Argentina on Friday for some future episodes of the podcast. So be sure to check that out. And be sure to check out NonFiction Brandversity on a, dare I say, daily basis. And by the way, I encourage you to post questions, to begin conversations. Right now it's a lot of me posting stuff, which is fine. I have no problem doing it. But I really don't want this to be all about me, to be honest. I want it to be about us because that's how we can all benefit the most. So, again, I'm DP Knudten, and she is
Laura Kaiser.
And we'll see you around campus at NonFiction Brandversity, the free Facebook group. If you're not a member, just ask to join and you're in. It's 100% free and a whole lot of fun. So thanks very much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.